Hello and welcome to today's video. We're only going over LEC G2 Koi. Prepared all the player ranking stats for tomorrow for LEC, LCS, CBLOL, and LCP combined. So that'll be tomorrow. G2 Koi. G2 win 3-0. And it wasn't as dominant as, some 3-0s we've seen in the last couple weeks. We've seen some really disgusting 90-10 splits in terms of gold control in some 3-0s across the world. And in this case, it was back and forth. Koi gave G2 all they could handle at times, but in the end, they had a couple misplays, and G2 just have so many games under their belt at a high level of play that, playing from behind is not that big of a deal to them. They know how to play it out. They understand macro, and that's important. That's important. So, 3-0 win. Broken Blade 7-3-26 had the best KDA. Hansama hit a solo kill, 25% of the team's damage. Skuman as well, nearly 25% of the team's damage, and led in kill participation at 83%. Had a solo kill of his own. A lot of damage from the jungler, a player that has really stepped up and been dominant alongside Caps. And you really think about it, Caps, every jungler that's alongside him does very well for many, many years. And then Koi, Elyoya, 9-11-14, 72 KP. Supa, 31% of the team's damage. Did actually lead in DPM in the entirety of the series between the two teams. Drake's G2 9, Koi 5. G2 took all 5 Barons, averaging about 3,300 gold a Baron power play. 56% of the series, they were in control. When you factor in gold, lead, or deficit, and the value, the stats are this: the value of a Drake when you take the buffs and you compare it to items to determine gold value. So that's something that I think needs to be incorporated more into our thought processes and things like that when we look at who's ahead and who's behind. I did this a couple of years ago, and last year I really didn't include it in my content all that much, but it's important in my opinion. You think about people trading grubs and plates for drakes, and at the time you see the gold lead and you think to yourself, yeah, well, that team's ahead in gold, and immediately you're like, gold lead means that team's winning. But there is a trade that may be taking place, and that drake that the other team is getting is going to possibly negate that gold gained long term, and even in the short term, depending on the point in the game that we're at. So just something I've been adopting, and I think it's important, especially in this series. We saw Koi take some early drakes and actually had leads. Not only, I think in maybe game one, it was not only a lead in gold, but also a lead when you took into account the drakes. Game three as well. It's something where they're in a good spot. You not only have a gold lead, but you also have the drake, and setting yourself up for maybe an early soul if you're trying to really push the envelope. And I understand that there may be times where another team is scaling, and you say, oh, well, that's a scaling composition. They're playing for 35 minutes. Okay. That doesn't change it for 30 of the minutes they were behind. It's not great. It's not a great feeling. The other team kind of threw. They didn't take advantage of their opportunities, their lead, and snowball their lead to a win. And in my opinion, that's how things ought to end up. Now, another thing, European related. So today I made a little tweet about ERLs and how I don't think ERL team should be eligible for Worlds under any circumstance. For some reason, due to the EWC announcements or leaks today, people thought I was talking about EWC, and I was not, because my tweet clearly said Worlds. So I don't know if that was a translation problem or what, but I had a lot of back and forth with some people that I don't think tier 2 teams should be eligible for Worlds. There are plenty of teams, especially in the East, that certainly have more merit going to an international event than a tier 2 team in Europe. And you can make the case, well, what about North America? I agree. Same deal. I feel the same way. I'm not going to change based on the region And I understand viewership and this and that, and you know, the product, in the end, it's dollars and cents, right? This is about dollars and cents. It's about entertainment. This is not about competitive integrity. It's when we get into the murky waters and folks want to claim, oh, this is, you know, competitive. This is like fair and just, etc. It's like, no, no. We've entered into a place where this is a show. We're putting on a show. We're not trying to, you know, find out who the best is necessarily. We're just trying to put on a show and half-ass find out who's the best. You know, there's many people brought up open circuit. I believe theoretically, yeah, an open circuit eliminates the tier system altogether. So yeah, sure. Then at that point, a tier 2 team doesn't exist. So this whole notion, well, you should have qualifiers. Well, if you have an open circuit, open qualifier, there's no longer tiers. Anybody could show up, which should include the East, by the way, because if we're qualifying for Worlds, why aren't we allowing a 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th Korean team in? Why not? Why does it have to be a 4th European team or a 3rd North American team? You know, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. In my personal opinion, I think the best players and the best teams should be the ones eligible for the World Championship. That may rub people the wrong way due to representation and, oh, I'm not going to watch. Well, then don't watch. You don't love the game. You love your teams, and that's fine. You can be a fan of the team. I'm a fan of the game. So it's just something going back and forth today. Had a lot of interesting conversations in my DMs as well. Possibly might get on a podcast this weekend. You know, Friday, Monday. As of right now, would be pretty cool if it happens. I'm grateful even to be given that opportunity. So that is what it is. If that comes to fruition, you guys will see that, and that'll be wild because it's some big dogs. It's not. You know, we're playing in the deep now. We're not in the pond. So that's the deal. So interesting discussion today about Worlds and ERLs, and you know, a lot of people with EWC, they think I'm talking about. No, I saw some random fuck tweet about how they think ERL teams should go to Worlds, and I'm like, I can't believe I can see that. Why is that? Why is that a thing? Why is someone thinking that? That's got to be one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in this space. I don't care if tier 2 teams play tier 1 teams in EWC. EWC doesn't hold value to me. I don't talk about that tournament all that much. I really don't. I don't cover that tournament, and I try and eliminate that tournament from all my stats as best I can as well, because the format usually is shit. Not to mention, I mean, I don't talk about EWC really all that much, but I also, you know, try and eliminate the stats from it just because I don't think that tournament's very, it's a shitty format. Now this format looks even messier. I don't know how Europe's going to do it, but it is once again a situation where Europe has thrown some shit together at the last second and hope it sticks. And it was a great idea, but you should have done it 6 months ago. Someone brought up how, yeah, teams probably deserved an opportunity to set up their lineups with the thought in mind, hey, if I win, I can do this extra event where I can make my money back. Instead, they didn't, and, you know, who knows? Maybe it got leaked. I did read rumors that things were leaked a few weeks ago, months ago. People knew this was coming, but did everybody know? You know. So that is the thing. Just my thoughts on the issue. I'm not really going to cover EWC again. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. Become a YouTube supporter. And hope to see you again tomorrow.